All right, what's up everybody? Pat Petrini here, and this is my video series that I'm doing on reinventing network marketing. And this is, I think, the last part. Actually, no, there might be one more part after this, but this is, I don't remember what part we're on, 6, 7, I'm not sure. This is what a marketer should look for, in my opinion. This is what I look for in like important questions to ask when joining a company. Now, this is not a complete list. Joining a company is, there's a lot of decisions that go into that. Most importantly, number one, most importantly, is do you trust the people you're joining? The founding team, do they know what they're doing? Do they have the experience necessary to pull off what they're trying to pull off? The upline that you're joining, hopefully there's people in there that you really look at towards as a mentor, that like a true mentor, somebody that you truly want to emulate, not just in their paycheck, but in the way that they live their life. And hopefully you're joining a team that really just inspires that in you, inspires that you to be better, and again are people that you trust in a lot of ways, way more than just that they know how to make money. But I'm going to talk about a couple of other things on here. Now, obviously, I've kind of gone over like the suck list, the things that I don't like, and so obviously the opposite of all of those things would be great things to look for in a network marketing company. And you'll find, I think that if you try, like I said, if you try to find a company that meets every single thing of every single piece of this criteria that I've kind of laid out in these videos, I'm not sure that that company is out there today. It's part of my reason for making these videos, is that I hope that not only that company gets created, but that becomes the norm in many ways for some of these things, a very customer-centric model to become the norm in the network marketing space instead of the exception. But here's a few other questions that you can ask to help kind of sift through the hype a little bit and help you kind of identify what are some of the better opportunities out there. Number one of the things that is so important to me is customer retention rate. Now, when I say customer retention rate, this is a true customer retention rate. So here's what I mean by that. This is, typically when people are telling me about their product or service that they offer, I usually don't want to hear about the product or service. What I want to hear about is the customer retention rate, because the true measure of every product or service is the customer retention rate. If a product or service is truly good, it will show up in the customer retention rate. And now remember, what I mean by customer is I want the retention rate of people that are actually true, legitimate customers that did not sign up with any intention to make any money with this opportunity. That these are people that purely joined for the purpose of purchasing the product or service that this company offers. I want to see what their retention rate is. And what I mean by retention rate is, I mean what percentage of them are customers and consistently ordering for at least 6 months and ideally 12 months. So it's pretty easy for a lot of companies can do this. You could talk to a leader in a company, or certainly the executives or founders can pull this information. I just want, if you could please pull up a list of everybody, like for example, if it's kind of an auto ship situation, if you typically have an auto ship product or kind of a monthly consumption product, this would just be an example. It'd be different for other types of products that aren't so normally consumed like that. But I would like to know, could we pull up a list of everybody that joined? Like right now when I'm recording these videos, it's November. So could we pull up a list of everybody that joined, every customer that joined your company, that became a customer last November, and can we look at what percentage of them ordered in the last 60 days? And that is a pretty darn accurate measure of what that would be a 12-month customer retention rate of real, actual, legitimate customers. So and I don't want to throw out what I think would be a good number or not, because I don't want to be putting down any one company or not. But here's the deal: is that's going to tell you the real story. That's going to tell you the real attrition that you're going to face if you're going to build a customer-centric business. Which hopefully, after going through this, well, if you agree with all the things that I'm saying in these videos, then your goal would be to build a customer-centric business. That certainly is my goal in network marketing, in anything, in any business. Every real business is a customer-centric business. Again, like we talked about earlier, it's only in network marketing you have to convince people that customers are important. So anyway, if your goal is to build a truly customer-centric business, then you want to know what your retention or attrition is going to be, and that's going to tell you how hard it is to hang on to customers with the company's current system. And that doesn't mean that couldn't be improved. Maybe you're going to be the one that's going to come in and build out this whole customer education program that's going to just retain customers like crazy and really take their numbers up from what it is right now. But it's good to know what the numbers actually are, and customer retention rate is one of those numbers that I really want to know, and I want them to be able to prove it. Okay, next thing is average incomes, actual incomes. This goes along with kind of what we talked about with transparency. I want to know, what the actual numbers are that people are making at these different income levels. Now, many companies put out what we call an income disclosure statement, and a lot of them you can find that on their website, or they'll be able to hand it to you, and it kind of shows what the average incomes are at each of their different ranks. But what can be tricky about those income disclosure statements is there's always some little asterisks, and you always got to read the fine print, because how they calculate active people in order to beef up those numbers, again, they try to beef up those numbers to try to compete against other network marketing companies and their income disclosure statements. Sorry again about the jets. Emily and I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. We live close to a couple miles from Luke Air Force Base, so that's why we've got jets kind of flying around. So anyway, I want to know what the real numbers are when you're at this level, and when you're at this level, and when you're at this level, and what exactly it takes to be at that level. Not just kind of averages that have been inflated and have some asterisks and stuff like that. It's hard for me to go into too much more detail because every company has different asterisks in their income disclosure statement. My point is, make sure you look at those asterisks, make sure you do the calculations, and make sure you really understand what the averages are. How hard is it going to be to get to these different levels? What's it going to take if your goal is to be getting to a six-figure income? What's it going to take to get there? What rank is truly averaging at that level, and what does it take to hit that rank? So let me see. This kind of ties into what we talked about. Are people making real money from customers? And that's really simple. I would want to see actual reports from leaders or from the company of what percentage of their income is coming from real, actual, legitimate customers versus coming from forced marketer consumption. Now, hey, if all of the marketers, if there was no forced consumption, if none of the marketers were required to place an order in order to participate in the compensation plan, then I would count all of that as customer orders, because if they literally have zero requirement or zero incentive in the comp plan to place orders, then that would mean that they're all placing orders of their own volition and voluntarily, right? I would count all of that as customer orders. But if marketers are having to make a monthly auto ship or some sort of requirement to participate in the comp plan, I don't want to count any of that. I want to know what percentage of people's commissions are coming from voluntary purchases. Even if it's auto ship, a customer might be on auto ship and it's monthly. They might even have a year contract. But they entered that year contract voluntarily, and it has nothing to do with being in the comp plan. That I still consider that voluntary, even though there's a contract in place. I want to know what percentage of income high earners are earning from voluntary purchases that are not incentivized by being in the compensation plan. And that'll tell you if we're truly talking about a customer-centric model or a marketer-centric model. And then the last thing is there a customer and a marketer experience? Kind of what we talked about again. Is there a way for the company to send customer messaging to customers and marketer messaging to marketers? I think that is really critically important if you're truly building a customer-centric model. So, and there's plenty of other things that are important. I'm kind of just going into the things that I think are a little bit less talked about. I mean, there's plenty of things that are important. Is the company financially sound? Do they have a ton of debt? Are they okay? Are they well funded? There's a million other things, but a lot of those things you can kind of find when you're looking at people's lists of what's important to look at in a company. What I'm kind of trying to talk about here are some of the things that I think are a little bit less often discussed, but I think are really, really core, not only to you making a good choice with whatever company you choose to align yourself with, but to all of us working together to try to push this industry, this model in the right direction. Okay, last video. I've just got one more video coming up, and then that's going to be the last part of this whole series. If you've actually made it all the way to here, I really appreciate you taking the time, and just one more short one coming up.